I hope you enjoyed day 2 of the Lightroom Summit. There were some great classes in there, and not just great classes, but wonderful instructors. You know, it's something that if you've participated in any of the Photoshop summits before, you'll see some new instructor names in there, which is really fun. There's just such a great pool of instructors, which creates a really good variety of classes. To me, as I look at that class list for the Lightroom Summit, that's what I see. I just see so many different types of classes, so many different ways of approaching things, and to me, that's one of the biggest benefits. So, a couple things as you are here on day 3, make sure you refresh your page. 8 new classes, 1 new class each hour. The class is free to watch for 48 hours after it airs. Okay, so if you're on the page, just refresh, and every hour a new class will appear. And then you, of course, watch those for free for 48 hours. And the VIP pass not only includes lifetime access, but little bonuses and class notes and different things like that for some of the sessions. Now, as promised, I'm going to do a quick recap with some tips. So let me go over here and share my screen with you. The first class was Finding Your Photos Fast with Tim Gray. Tim, I've been friends with Tim for a long time, and Tim is almost as veteran of a Lightroom instructor as you can find out there. So I always learn things when I watch Tim Gray's classes. One of the little things that sneaks by a lot of people is when you go to, let's say, the folders panel inside of Lightroom, there's a little search bar at the top there. So if you know that there's a folder somewhere and you're not quite sure where it is, just type in the name of it. And if you go down here to your collections panel, you'll see the same thing over there. So if you know you have a collection that's named and maybe buried in a collection set somewhere, you can type in the name, and that's a good way to refine your search. Christina Shirk's got a class on portraits that if you are a portrait photographer, she does some amazing things, not only just with basic editing tools, but with brushes and different things like that. So you want to make sure you check out her class. Lisa's got a class on Lightroom mobile capture. I don't have the mobile version of Lightroom up here, but one thing I can share with you that is mobile related is that when you're using Lightroom Classic, if you go into the top right-hand corner of the screen, you're going to see a little cloud icon, and you can turn on cloud syncing with Lightroom Classic. And that means when you have a collection, your collections will actually have a little checkbox next to them. All right? Not a collection set, but a collection. And when you see that little box, you can click on it. Or even when you create a collection, you'll have an option here. I'll even create a collection and show you. You'll have an option that will say sync with Lightroom. What that means is that'll sync that up to the cloud, and now that collection will be available on any device that has that Lightroom app for you. So even if you aren't necessarily using Lightroom Mobile all the time, that's a good quick way to share your collections to your phone so you can show your photos off. From there, we've got another one called Lightroom for Total Beginners. This one's from Teresa. And again, I heard from so many people that said, I need to start with Lightroom. And that really is, that's probably one of the best ways to start, is a class called Lightroom for Total Beginners. So even if maybe you felt like you were a little further along in your path, that's really a great class to send to somebody else just in case they need that start in Lightroom. And Teresa's a great person to be able to deliver that to you. From there, we got Next Level Organization from Ben Wilmore. I have learned over the years that whenever Ben Wilmore does a class called Next Level Anything, you watch it. Because when Ben does Next Level, it's really like next level as far as everything goes there. So make sure you check out that one. Jesus Ramirez has one called Lightroom, Hidden Lightroom Tips. I'll show you one of my own little favorite hidden tips here that sneaks by a lot of people, and that is when we go and we start to modify a photo. So highlights, shadows, whatever it happens to be. One of the tips is, and a lot of people know this, if you double click the name of an adjustment, it resets that adjustment to its 0 value. But what a lot of people don't know is that many of your adjustments have a section heading to them. So for example, exposure, contrast, highlight, shadows. If you double click the word tone in that little section heading, it resets all of those adjustments in that section, which is really handy in so many different places inside of Lightroom, but it's also handy if you go to, let's say, the adjustment brush, and you've got 7 or 8 different adjustments that have different settings to them, and you just want to zero them out. All you got to do is come up here click the word effect, because that's the top section level heading, and that will reset all of those adjustments. So anytime you see a word above a group of adjustments, that's kind of your cue that you can go in there and you can double click on it, and that will let you reset all of the adjustments that are listed right under it. Anthony Morganti, who we're super happy to have. I've followed Anthony for years over on YouTube, so excited to have him here as part of the summit. He did a class on stunning black and whites, and I can't even begin to do that justice here, but what I can point you in the right direction of is if you go into the basic panel in Lightroom, and you go under the profile section that's right above all of your white balance and all those settings there. If you go to your profile section and there's a little icon to the right of it, you can click that icon, and inside of there are profiles that come with Lightroom. One of those is called black and white. So you'll see all of these black and white profiles that come with your version of Lightroom. They're already included in it. These are really some of the best quick black and white presets. Again, Anthony is going to teach you how to take them and how to take a black and white even further, but some of these are such a great starting point if you're doing a quick conversion to black and white. And then we wrapped up the day with a printing masterclass from Glenn Dewis, and Glenn Dewis is a perfect person to teach that because Glenn is a printing master. Glenn, I can't even tell you how many times a week that guy probably prints. So there's no better person to bring you a masterclass on printing. I'll give you one quick tip, which is when you're in the print module, you come down here to the print job settings. One of the things you can turn on, and we're going to go over here under rulers, guide, and grid, is dimensions. There's a little checkbox under the rulers, guide, grid section here. It says show guides, and there's a little checkbox for dimensions. And that will show you the dimensions of your print at the top here. But even beyond that, if you go down here to the print job section, if you have print resolution checked, it's going to force the print resolution to be 240 pixels per inch, which in most prints is just fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But if you've got more resolution for your image, there's no reason to force it to go down to 240. Okay, sometimes we may need to force it to go up, which is fine, but there's no reason to take 300 pixels per inch and force it down. Well, uncheck print resolution, and you'll actually see Lightroom, as long as you have that setting that I showed you earlier, which is dimensions under rulers, guide, and grid. If you go down here and you uncheck print resolution, you will see the pixels per inch that are available for your print, which in this case is 272 pixels per inch. So I would actually turn off the print resolution setting, which will then let me use all of the resolution I have for this print. In most prints, you'll probably never be able to visibly tell the difference. But again, if you've got the resolution, why not go in there and use it? If it happens to fall below the recommended print resolution guidelines, then you can turn it on and you can force this to 240 ppi. So just keep that in mind. If that's checked, you are not going to see the resolution up there. If it's not checked, you will see the available resolution of your photo. And if it's higher, then just go ahead and use it. Well, that wraps up my quick little recap of day 2 of the Lightroom Virtual Summit. I hope you guys are enjoying the summit. I hope you're learning a ton of information. And keep this in mind. If you watch a class and you got a question, reach out to the instructors. They're all very welcoming and open to helping people out. So throughout the week, if you see something, I encourage you to reach out to people, make it as interactive of a week as possible. And I think in the end, you'll walk away and not only will you learn a ton, but you'll also probably find a lot of new people to follow and a lot of new ways that you can really explore Lightroom.